You weren't chosen, you were convenient, and deep down, you knew it. Still, you tried to become more patient, more loving, more forgiving. You told yourself, if I just love them harder, they'll finally see me. If I give more, maybe they'll stop pulling away. But here's the truth. You're not in love. You're in a pattern. A pattern that tells you love must be earned. That if it hurts, it's working. That pain means it matters. No, it doesn't. It just means you're stuck in something that feels like home, because home was never safe to begin with. Let's be honest. You've been forcing this for a while, haven't you? You ignore your needs because you don't want to be too much. You justify the silence because maybe they're just busy. You accept breadcrumbs because a part of you believes it's better than being alone. But ask yourself this: if you're constantly confused, if you're the only one fighting to make it work, if you feel smaller just to stay, is it love or survival? You say you're just giving them time, but what if what you're really doing is delaying the heartbreak that already happened? Here's something most people never hear. You don't chase them because you love them. You chase them because they feel familiar. Sadia Khan said it best. You confuse chemistry with trauma. When love was conditional growing up, when silence meant punishment, when attention was earned, not given freely. Then now, as an adult, you find yourself addicted to the highs and lows, the little validations, the rare text that says, "Miss you." "Sorry, I've just been busy. Let's meet soon." And you eat it up because your heart is starving. Let me tell you about Lisa. She was 32, fiercely loyal, empathetic to a fault. She met Aaron at a wedding. Charming, funny, emotionally distant. At first, he was obsessed with her, late-night calls, constant texts, that electric spark. But soon after, it started. Delayed replies, mood swings, guilt-tripping whenever she asked for clarity. And every time she thought of leaving, he'd say just enough to pull her back. "You're the only one who gets me. I'm just scared of getting hurt again." So Lisa stayed. Not because she was happy, but because she needed the ending to make sense. She stayed, hoping he'd become the person he was at the beginning. But he never did. How long have you been hoping someone would become who they were during the first month? How many times have you stayed just because the good moments felt so rare, so precious, that you clung to them like oxygen? Let's look at what you've lost. You've lost your voice, because every time you spoke up, they pulled away. You've lost your joy, because you're always anxious, always waiting, always wondering. You've lost time, months, maybe years, believing that if you just held on a little longer, they'd finally become who you needed. But they didn't, and you knew they wouldn't. Jefferson Fisher said, "Most people don't speak up in relationships because they're afraid it'll end. So instead of walking away, you walk on eggshells. But silence doesn't save relationships. It only kills you slower." Let's be clear. Love isn't explaining your worth every week, wondering if today's the day they'll leave, fighting to stay relevant in someone's life. Love is not supposed to feel like a performance. It's not meant to feel like you're constantly auditioning, trying to be enough for someone who never even showed up fully for you. Stephen Speaks said it clearly. A man who truly loves you will never leave you confused. If you have to overthink every text, decode every silence, recover from every emotional whiplash, it's not love, it's emotional warfare. Because real love doesn't feel like confusion, it feels like clarity. You stay because you believe you're the problem, that maybe if you were prettier, less needy, more patient, they'd love you better. You think your healing depends on their apology, their closure, their change. But the truth is, you don't need their apology. You need your permission to walk away from what's breaking you, your permission to choose peace over potential, your permission to say, "I'm done begging to be loved." And let's be honest, you already know how this story ends, because it keeps ending the same way. It's time to write a new chapter, one where you stop watering dead things, one where you choose you. You know what real love feels like? Safe, consistent, peaceful. It doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't trigger your deepest fears. It doesn't disappear when things get hard. Real love feels like home, but not the kind of home you had to survive. The kind of home where you can finally breathe. So if you're not breathing, you're not in love. You're in a trauma bond. Love isn't perfect, but it should be kind. It should feel like rest, not resistance. It should build you, not break you. Here's the hardest truth you'll ever face. They're not going to change. And it's not your job to make them. You weren't sent to fix them. You weren't created to be someone's emotional rehab center. You were created to be loved, fully, freely, without conditions. So stop writing poetry for someone who won't even read your pain. Stop bleeding for someone who never even brings a bandage. And stop forcing a relationship that's already left you behind. Because what you're calling love is really just fear dressed up in false hope. You don't owe anyone your suffering. You don't need to be broken to be loved. What if love isn't something you have to chase? What if it's something you allow? That starts by walking away from what's not real. That starts with you. Letting go is hard, yes. But staying in pain, that's a slow death. The real question isn't, will they ever change? The real question is, why do you keep waiting for someone who already showed you they won't? If this felt too real, it's because your heart is finally speaking louder than your fear. And if you don't know where to begin, you're not alone. That's exactly why I created the guidebook. Toxic 101, How to Identify and Escape Manipulation. It's not just a book. It's your roadmap out of the pain, out of the confusion, out of the belief that love has to hurt. Visit escapetoxicrelationships.com. Take the first step. Choose you. Because real love doesn't begin with them. It begins with you, no longer forcing what's not meant for you.